A method of assessing learning other than through testing. You're right. Alternative assessment is the correct answer. There are examples of assessment to a student except one. Good thinking. Giving a grade is the right answer. It is a portfolio that is collected for grading purposes. Sharp thinking. Evaluation portfolio is the right choice. The quality of an evaluation is mostly determined by dash. Solid response. Grades is a valid choice. How well a test measures what it is supposed to measure. Nice work! You chose construct validity and it is correct. It is about measuring the progress of students' learning. Strong choice. Assessment is the right answer. What's the relationship between assessment and testing? Clear logic. Your choice, a test, is one type of assessment, is sound and 100% true. What is one of the functions of educational evaluation? Right again. Assessing the needs of the learners is a valid answer. All of the following are functions of assessment except. You got it. Your choice. It assesses lessons to be taught is right. Which of the following is not a function of evaluation? Smart pick. Gather relevant information about students' progress is the correct choice. Authentic assessment encourages the integration of dash. Excellent. Teaching, learning, and assessing is a brilliant choice. How can concept mapping be used as a learning strategy? Exactly. To plan meaningful learning aligned with assessment information makes sense, and it is right choice. Evaluation is important for decision-making about dash. On track. All of the above is the correct answer. Uses such instruments as ruler, scale of thermometer. Well done. Measurement is the right choice. Which of the followings is not assessment principles? Correct. Standard error is the right answer. Choose one that is not types of summative assessment. Great job. Essay is the accurate answer. What are the characteristics of formative assessment? Bravo. Continuous, informal, with a central role in every classroom is the answer. What is the purpose of science probes in assessment? Valid point. To assess student thinking and understanding is true. For whom should assessment data be communicated to? You chose stakeholders, and it is correct. 5 principles of language assessment include dash. Great thinking. Practicality, reliability, validity, authenticity, and washback is the right choice. It serves as the spiral cord of the discussion. Nicely done. Question as an art is a solid answer. What are some examples of evaluation techniques? Excellent choice. Surveys, interviews, observations, tests, and performance reviews is the right answer. What is the purpose of portfolios in assessment? Correct response. To assess student progress and achievement is the most accurate answer. Which of the following require parental consent? Good job. Your answer evaluation of a child for special education services works well here. What are the 2 broad categories of evaluation? Smart move. Formative and summative is an accurate answer.
Formative assessment is commonly referred to as.
Well picked. Assessment for learning is the correct answer. What is the purpose of assessment for learning? Right choice. To inform and adjust teaching is the best answer. Which is the highest level of cognitive domain? Perfect. Evaluation is the correct choice. What is an example of a high-stakes assessment? Nice selection. SATs is the correct and valid answer. What is the main focus of formative assessment? Well-reasoned. Assisting learning and providing feedback is the correct choice. It means to obtain information about what is. Well picked. Measurement is the correct answer. How well a test reflects real-life situations. You're right. Authenticity is the correct answer. Students' assessment of each other's learning. Clear logic. Your choice peer evaluation is sound and 100% true. The core of formative assessment is about dash. Solid response. Steve's learning process is a valid choice. What is the purpose of diagnostic assessment? Nice work. You chose to assess students' prior knowledge and skills, and it is correct. In the secondary evaluation, HOP stands for. You chose history, observation, evaluation, palpation, special tests, and it is correct. What is the key word in summative evaluation? Right again. Certification is a valid answer. Assessment contains all these elements except. Valid point. Reflection is true. Harjeet was placed in the below average group. Great job. Assessment is the accurate answer.
Dash is used to monitor the learning process.
Excellent. All of the above is a brilliant choice. How should a teacher base her assessment? Nice selection. Learning outcome is the correct and valid answer. What is the purpose of summative evaluation? Strong choice. To judge the worth of a program is the right answer. What are the methods used in the assessment? Bravo. A and B is the answer. It is used to evaluate students' competence. Correct response. Summative assessment is the most accurate answer. What is an example of diagnostic assessment? Good job. Your answer Kel chart works well here. What is untrue about summative evaluation? Sharp thinking. It is an assessment for learning is the right choice. The main purpose of evaluation is to make. Nicely done. Prediction is a solid answer. Zakia scored 62 in environmental education. Correct. Measurement is the right answer. From the following, the right sequence is Smart pick. Test, measurement, assessment, evaluation is the correct choice.
When does assessment for learning occur?
Great thinking. Throughout the teaching and learning process is the right choice. Which are types of formative assessment? Well done. Observation, homework, class activities, students' feedback is the right choice. They were proud of their children's dash. Good thinking. Achievements is the right answer. Collaborative projects are an example of. You got it? Your choice formative assessment is right. What does authentic assessment focus on? Exactly. Greater comprehension makes sense and it is right choice. Are evaluation and assessment the same? Perfect. No, they are different is the correct choice. Summative evaluation is basically used. Right choice? At the end of the program is the best answer.
What is the overall goal of assessment?
Smart move. To improve student learning is an accurate answer. The purpose of placement evaluation is well reasoned. Selecting students is the correct choice. Assessment should be conducted by Dash. On track. Teachers and students is the correct answer. What are the two types of assessment? Excellent choice. Formative and summative is the right answer. What is the definition of assessment? Rate, thinking, selecting, receiving, and using data for improvement is the right choice. What is the importance of assessment? Well picked. To gather data of students' performance or progress is the correct answer. What is the definition of evaluation? Strong choice. Passing judgment based on a set of standards is the right answer. The purpose of assessment is to Dash. Nice selection. Evaluate and maximize student learning is the correct and valid answer. What are some assessment principles? Exactly. Practicality, reliability, and validity makes sense and it is right choice. Assessment of learning means. Smart move. Summative is an accurate answer. In a paper, the score of student is sharp thinking. Measurement is the right choice. What are the objects of evaluation? Well reasoned. All of the above is the correct choice. An example of positive washback is perfect. Students well aware of the learning objectives is the correct choice. What is the sum of questions called? Right again. Test is a valid answer. Assessment for learning occurs. Correct response. Throughout the learning process, Dash is the most accurate answer. Dash assessment should be done. Good thinking. Teachers and students is the right answer. Assessment is helpful to Dash. You're right. Gather data about a learner's level is the correct answer.
Why is assessment important?
Bravo! All of the answers are correct is the answer.
Evaluation is the process of.
Smart pick. Judging is the correct choice. Which has the least scope?
You chose test, and it is correct. Portfolio is an example of.
Well done. Ipsative assessment is the right choice. What are test measures? Solid response. Construct is a valid choice. Evaluation is Dash. On track. Judgment of the is the correct answer. SOAP stands for valid point. Subjective,
observation objective assessment plan is true.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format.
Great job. Contact Narayan Changder is the accurate answer.